Hi everyone. So my name's Lyndon Howson. I'm currently the project coordinator for the Hedgehog Friendly Campus project at the University of Chester. I'm going into my third year in this role, and I'm also a member of Chester's Youth Board and also a former town councillor of Grange over Sands. And thank you for everyone joining today for today's webinar on wildlife advocacy, making your voices heard. Fingers crossed you find it useful. So for today's agenda, I just thought we'd set out some steps of how the webinar is going to be hosted. So we're going to have welcome and introduction, which we've just had. Will be followed by a overview of the current state of wildlife, in particularly in regards to hedgehogs. Then we'll talk about understanding advocacy and conservation, effective strategies for wildlife advocacy, key takeaways, next steps, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end of the session. So welcome to Wildlife Advocacy. So the whole purpose of today is to basically talk to you about some of my experience that I've had in wildlife advocacy, potentially giving you some ideas on how you might be able to get involved. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you might even give me some ideas of how I can maybe expand my wildlife advocacy towards the end of today's webinar. So it's going to be really exciting, and we'll talk about a few different ways in which you can engage with students, local communities, and how you can protect a whole host of wildlife. So some of you may be thinking, what is advocacy? And in my journey as project coordinator for the Hedgehog Friendly Campus at the University of Chester, for me, I've seen firsthand how small actions can have a big difference and how it can impact the wildlife around us. I think it's amazing when you can see through what you might consider small actions, such as going out and picking up litter, to how that can actually promote and protect a lot of the wildlife in your natural areas. And also how having the capability to input into local policies is actually really beneficial. And it sounds daunting, but I promise it's not as scary as what you might think. So I'll go on to explain a little bit about that shortly. So for the current state of wildlife, unfortunately, I think a lot of you are probably aware, the UK is one of the most nature depleted countries. So on average, it's 1 in 6 species in the UK is at risk of extinction. And unfortunately, hedgehogs, as a lot of you have probably just seen recently, have now been listed as near threatened on the IUCN list. So basically what this means is hedgehogs are in that decline and their populations are decreasing. Since the year 2000, hedgehog populations have decreased by up to 75% in some areas. So it's really important for us to promote hedgehog conservation, but also native species conservation as a whole. And that's what advocacy really is. It's about working together, working in collaboration, and making sure we're all coming together for the same mission, which at the end of the day is to protect our wildlife and make it as native and natural as possible. So the one thing I always think when you think about advocacy is it's really important to follow your passion. So for me, I'll start off with one of my main ones, hedgehog friendly. Hedgehogs have been my passion for years. So I've been involved with Hedgehog Friendly for heading into my third year now, but I've had a passion for hedgehogs ever since I was really little. Growing up in the Lake District, we always had hedgehogs coming into our back garden, and you just see them roaming around, and it'd be great when you see the little hoglets coming on, because when they start coming out with the parents, they just look like a small little jacket potato, and that's all I can ever picture when I see them walking around. And I think that's one thing which, when I got involved with Hedgehog Friendly, I really valued, was I already had that prior connection and that passion for hedgehogs. So for me, it was just like increasing what I was currently aware of. So rather than just doing small actions myself, it was seeing how can I make this broader and have more of the wider appeal. So with the Hedgehog Friendly, with myself and my previous project coordinator, Katie, we worked really hard over 2 years to actually build our volunteer base. So we started off with 5 volunteers, and then we built it up to about 170 students who were involved. So some of them participated, some of them may not have participated, but were still aware of the work we were doing. And it was really important for us to build this because we could get a sense of engagement from the community at the university and which areas we need to build upon. And yeah, it was really exciting to see how that's grown and see our hedgehog populations grew. So we went from having 0 hedgehogs living at the university to now having 8 hedgehogs living at the university. So it was amazing to see that transition over time and to see how that wildlife advocacy really did start to have a profound effect, and how what we were trying to achieve was inspiring other students to get that passion and build upon that. And it's surprising how just one small action really did make a big difference for our hedgehogs. And then following on to that, you can see in the middle there, it's a little bit blurry, but that is the logo for my old town, so for Grange Over Sands. For me, it's somewhere that I'll always be very passionate about. I've grown up there my entire life, so absolutely love it. It's literally right in the heart of the Lake District. So I was really, really fortunate to be able to be surrounded by a lot of wildlife and a lot of woodlands around. And then when I was in Grange, I had the really amazing opportunity to become a town councillor. So for me, it was a little bit daunting to take on this role, especially at the age I was, because I was just 19 at the time. But it was a really exciting opportunity for me to learn about different ways of engaging with people, rather than it just having to be hands on yourself and learn about policies, working with community groups. It was a really amazing opportunity. And I think one thing from this I really valued was I got to work with a local couple of people from the community to create a local community group looking after a rockland woodland, which was a abandoned piece of woodland in our town. No one had done anything with it. It had just been left to rot for over 30 years. And then together, we worked together to create little wildlife corridors, little public footpath, information displays, and we built some bug hotels, a couple of hedgehog houses. And now it's become a vital resource within the town. So we have some local primary schools that will actually go there, take the students there, see what wildlife they can observe, and it's bringing the nature into the classroom, which is an amazing way to connect younger people to start that passion for conservation at a younger age. So for me, being involved with the politics side of it, it was really amazing to actually see that work and see how that side of it basically works, and how that collaboration with local councils can actually have that big difference on a community, especially when you get those who are passionate to actually work together on that. And then on the far right, you can see it's a picture of me. Apologies, but that's me presenting at the Eureka Centre. So that's in the Wirral. So in summer, I had the amazing opportunity to go there for Hedgehog Awareness Week. And we hosted a couple of activities over the weekend, including a build your own hedgehog friendly bug hotel, which all the young people could take away with them. One thing I really enjoy is public outreach and engaging with people. So it was really nice to see all these young people coming in, building these bug hotels, doing their own little drawings of hedgehogs, and then them going away saying, oh, we can put this in the garden. How can we make a bigger one? And it was really amazing to see how they were connecting with that and seeing how they could take that home and build it bigger. A couple of them went into the local primary schools and worked with the local primary school to actually build a large-scale bug hotel, which was amazing to see. And it shows how having that advocacy, if you have that passion there, really can drive and inspire other people to feel connected and feel as though they want to be a part of it. Because the whole thing about advocacy is representing your true self. If it's something you're not passionate about, it will come across. So you've got to find your area which you're really passionate about, your forte, and thinking, what networks am I a part of already that I can expand and build upon? And that's a really exciting part to this. And then if we could just go to the next slide, please. So engaging your community, as you're aware, I've just said, engagement is something that I thoroughly enjoy. This here is a photo from the Wildlife Connections Festival at Chester Zoo. So there's myself and then Penny, one of our new project coordinators this year from the University of Chester. And we're engaging, I think we had about 4,000 people over the 2 days who came to the event. And they ranged in ages and demographics. So it was a really great opportunity for us to promote the work we're doing, make people realise what we're actually trying to do at the university, to also build up those connections in the local community as well. So from this, we've had various different schools and local community groups reach out to us with potential opportunities for us to go either do workshops, seminars, whole host of different activities as a way to engage them and to sort of get them involved with not just hedgehog conservation, but conservation as a whole. So for us, it was a really amazing day. We did name the hedgehog competition as well, because we wanted to try bring that fun element into it, because end of day, you've got to pick up the highlights and the pros and the pluses when it comes to conservation. And for us, the hedgehog in the middle there was one of our female hedgehogs who gave birth earlier this year. So it was really nice to have her there, a little photo of her where people could actually name her in the middle. And then we also had our hedgehog tunnel. So we were able to engage them with how we actually do hedgehog surveys and then how they might be able to do them in their area. And the whole part with engagement is basically fostering a sense of ownership. It's making people feel passionate about what's actually around them. And I think when it comes to hedgehogs, it's one of those species which it's very iconic. People always realize, oh yeah, hedgehogs are there. But people sort of forget that they do actually need our help. They are a species that are reliant on our support because it's because of a lot of our actions that the hedgehog numbers are in decline. So it was really interesting to see how we could engage with people and basically see where their passions were and see where we could find that overlap to work together to involve the community in the work we're trying to achieve. So local politics. This is a bit of a unique one. So in this moment, I'm actually on the stage at Buckingham Palace presenting a talk where I got to talk about hedgehogs as one of the highlights of this, which was really exciting for me. But politics as a whole, I think, is a really fun opportunity to amplify your advocacy. It's a really unique way, especially when you're a younger person, to step into that field and to have that passion for something so strongly, to be able to portray that with councillors, with local MPs, local politicians, and to be able to work with them potentially on advising local policy or setting up initiatives that they might want to create in the community and seeing where that can all work together. I think it can be quite a daunting thing to step into. And I always suggest to people, if there's something you're wanting to do and you're not quite sure how to go about it, getting in touch with either your local town councillors or even your local MP. It's surprising how much more engaged they are when you actually get in touch with them. I think a lot of people think, oh no, they won't reply, they won't take the time. But at the end of the day, we're their constituents and they're always really excited to hear from us and hear our ideas because that's not just how we can build a community, but that's how they can inspire others within the community also. And it's about building those relationships and building those connections. And with that, we can amplify the voice we're trying to have for nature and nature conservation. So it's a really exciting opportunity. And I highly recommend it if anyone's 50-50. Just give it a try, even if it's going to your local town council meeting, just to see what's happening. Because you never know if you've got a little piece of land in the town that's just being cut and mowed down every single year. Maybe go there, put forward the idea of maybe we could plant some wildflowers instead. And it's surprising how engaged the community do become over initiatives like this. And it can become a lot larger than what you might anticipate originally. So collaborations with others. When it comes to wildlife advocacy, as highlighted throughout this seminar so far, it's something that is a team effort. It's not something you should do by yourself. By yourself, yes, you might be able to achieve some differences, but together you have a more unified and a broader appeal, and you're able to have a larger impact. I always say if you're doing it by yourself, just think small actions, they all come together. But if you can do it as a community, it's going to have a larger impact and a larger effect within the local community or nationally, depending on what level of engagement you might be able to gain. So firstly, I thought I'd talk about schools. So with the Hedgehog Friendly Campus project at the University of Chester, we've been really fortunate where we have a few collaborations with local primary schools where we've been able to go out, build hedgehog-friendly bug hotels, hedgehog houses, and we've even taken out some wildlife cameras and filmed what wildlife is currently at the school area. And it's been really nice for those young people to participate because they're able to see how the conservation actually works, get involved with it, and see what wildlife's in their area. So they can actually see, okay, if we have hedgehogs, what can we do to help more hedgehogs come here? And it's about building those little connections and planting those seeds at a young age. And that's how you can inspire the next generation of conservationists and advocacy. And it just promotes it as a whole. University of Chester, obviously, one of our biggest collaborators, with us being based at the university. We're very fortunate that at the university we have an incredible network of departments and teachers and staff as a whole, and even all of our students who are really passionate about what we're doing. And no matter how crazy or quirky some of our ideas might be, they always seem to try the best to help us make sure it can actually happen and make sure it can occur. So each year, a lot of you know, we probably do the Big Hog Friendly litter pick. We try to broaden this out across the whole community at Chester. Sometimes we have lecturers that come and take part. We have students that aren't just animal-based students. We have students from all over the different departments within the university. And it's about being inclusive and having that equality within that. Another connection we have is with the Chester Sustainability Forum. So the Chester Sustainability Forum is basically a local network of organisations, charities, individuals, town councillors and MPs. So it's a very broad network that we have the capability to input into. So we attend the meetings every time they have them, which is usually once every 2 months. If we have an idea of a project we'd like to put forward, we can promote it in this meeting. And then we can gauge which organisations in the area we might be able to work with. So it doesn't put all the pressure on yourselves to organise it. It can be a collaborative approach. And when it comes to advocacy, it's about making sure you're reaching that wider demographic. And I think as young people, we can target one area, and that's other young people, but it's harder to target the other age ranges and other people in the community who may not be engaged with nature or conservation. And I think the Sustainability Forum allows us to tap into this because it covers such a wide network. And then last but not least, the collaboration on the far right-hand side is our Hedgehog Friendly telephone box. So we had an old telephone box at the university that was quite dilapidated, and we had some amazing support from the maintenance and the grounds team, and they basically helped us revamp it. So this is now our Hedgehog telephone box. So we actually are starting to use this for our Hedgehog Friendly litter picks. So within it, we'll have our litter picks, all of our equipment that we need, such as hedgehog tunnels, hedgehog feed. And then on the front of it, we have a QR code. That way, if students want to find out more about the project or to volunteer with us, they can scan that QR code. It takes them directly to the link to register, and it gets that connection. So even if they don't physically see you, they can still be a part of what you're trying to achieve through this. And it was just a really innovative way to sort of show what we do, but also to have that resource on campus. So it's creating that lasting appeal as part of our lasting legacy. It's something that's always going to be there, and now it's something that's going to be used by many students for years to come, which is really exciting. It shows how that advocacy really has worked well there. And then, so expanding further on our collaboration with the grounds and sustainability team. So as part of Hedgehog Friendly, we were able to put our grounds team through training where they were able to look at what pesticides were and weren't harmful, and potentially which ones were the best to use to be more hedgehog friendly on campus. Fortunately, all of our grounds team underwent this training, and it was amazing to see the outcomes from this. They were already really sustainable and amazing for hedgehogs. So it's been great to see that they've even ramped it up even more. They've been helping us build some larger book hotels around campus, which was absolutely incredible. We did a volunteer day last year where we had a group of students come together, and we built I think it's 6 pallets high, our largest book hotel. So it was amazing to see that. We put moss all across the top, and it's now being utilised because it's about a season in, which is amazing. And the university as well has also been working with removal of grass around campus. So some of our plain grass strips, it is quite a, let's say, manicured campus. So in certain areas, they've been amazing at removing the grass and actually planting wildflowers. And the benefit for this is it's not just supporting the hedgehogs on campus, it's also supporting a wide range of biodiversity and nature. So we're very fortunate at the university, as well as having our hedgehogs. We've also got a family of foxes and a badger now, all of which weren't there before we started our work. So it's amazing to see how it's grown and how the work we're doing, even though to us it might seem small, is having that really big impact. And that's the best part of advocacy. It's about how inspired you get by your work, but also the work of everyone who's involved. And then this is a personal favourite in regards to advocacy. So this is a Pledge for Nature, which we co-created with Chester Zoo. So as part of our collaborations, we're actually part of Chester Zoo's Networks for Nature. And basically, this is a network of local community groups and local charities who are working to protect specific areas within Chester, whether that be from some of the local nature parks to a small community garden. And together, we're all in collaboration. We talk to each other regularly. We see what we're doing at both sites and how we can mirror it. That way, we're all protecting wildlife in the same way. So if we plant one specific wildflower, the other areas will also plant that specific wildflower. And it's really exciting to be able to build upon that and see those connections in place. And the Pledge for Nature basically came out as part of our lasting legacy. So we wanted to promote what we're doing in a way that would engage students, make them feel passionate about what we're trying to achieve, and make them understand why the Hedgehog Friendly Campus project is needed and why it's really special for us. So as part of this, we have various different actions. So some of it is how many bin bags of rubbish we're going to collect this year. So we've got about 30 bin bags of rubbish. On the right-hand side, we also as well have some awards that our students will be working towards each year. So we're going to put them in small groups to do different activities, from hedgehog tunnels, camera trapping, feeding the hedgehogs, and then we can apply for these awards for the students. And the best part of doing this, it gives the students something that they can put on their CV and the recognition that they deserve for the incredible amount of effort they put in. And I think that's the most important thing you need to consider when thinking of advocacy is if you're involving others, it's making sure you're making them feel valued for the time and effort they're putting in. And it's all about celebrating what they're trying to achieve. And so next, thought we'd lead on with education and inspiration. So in this picture here, you can see myself and one of our old project coordinators, Katie, and we're actually leading a camera trap workshop. So within this, we had 6 of us in total for this one particular session. And basically what we did is we talked all of them through how to use the wildlife camera, the purpose of it, what we're trying to gain from it. And then we gave each student their own camera. We gave them their own specific location around the campus to actually place the camera. And it was up to them to look after over a period of 2 weeks. So for this, what we did is for anyone who participated with their camera, if they saw a new animal that we could identify as a new animal that we didn't know was already there, they would be able to name it. So we ended up with quite a few pigeons that were being named. And then we did also have a couple of new hedgehogs, which was amazing. And from doing multiple different camera trapping sessions, we actually managed to plot what we called the Hedgehog Highway around our university. So we were actually able to find at the university which locations the hedgehogs were using, but also where they were physically traveling from. So we could actually find which areas are working on at the university and which areas aren't. And those which aren't, we started to think, why isn't it working? Why aren't hedgehogs in this area? What do we need to do to promote the hedgehogs within this area? And I think that just went on to inspire a lot of students to get engaged. They found it to be a really fun opportunity. And for us, it's probably one of our favourite ones each year, secondary to feeding the hedgehogs, because that's always a really nice fun one. But by doing this, you'll be inspiring others and you can cultivate new ideas. And it's really engaging when you hear from different students, their perspectives of the activity. And we have some students that come because it's a nice way to disconnect and relax and pretty much just have that connection back with nature. Whereas for other students, it's for them a potential skill they're going to carry forward into their future career. So it's amazing how you can engage them all together and inspire them to hopefully take this information forward with them. And then collaboration education. So as I highlighted earlier, we have been very fortunate to be connected with Chester Zoo in regards to the Networks for Nature. Another area we're actually connected to the zoo with is with the Chester Zoo Hedgehog Watch. So for those of you who may not be aware, the Hedgehog Watch is basically a time each year, 3 times a year, where local residents in Chester can actually register to receive a hedgehog camera. They'll place it in the garden, it'll monitor for 2 weeks, and then that's sent back to Chester Zoo. And from this, what the study is trying to do is it's trying to evaluate how many hedgehogs are in the area, which areas of Chester has them, and potentially why they're in some areas, why they're not in others. So it's been a really interesting opportunity to be a part of. A lot of our wildlife camera data that we've been collecting, we share with the Hedgehog Watch scheme. And it's a great way for our students to get involved with citizen science. So yet again, it's that advocacy of getting them involved, getting them connected, and building up these opportunities they might not have had necessarily beforehand. A lot of students are in student accommodation and it's hard to convince your landlords to put a wildlife camera in the garden and register for it. Whereas with us being based at the university, what we could do is we could use the university as a base, register for the wildlife cameras and we could place them out and do it with our students as activities. So we could get more students involved rather than just having, let's say, one student per household. So it was a really fun opportunity for us to collaborate. And as far as the educational side of it went, a lot of our students gained a lot of skills that have been transferable. And then this one we've highlighted as fundraising fun. So when it comes to advocacy, yes, you can do all the practical activities, but another side to it which often is overlooked is fundraising. Fundraising in itself is still a way of advocacy because you're still promoting whatever it is you're fundraising for. And so in this photo here, there's a group of 5 of us. So there was many more, but this is our little photo of some of us who actually trekked to the top of Snowdon. And we did this for the British Hedgehog Preservation Society. For this, we raised, I believe it was about £600 in total. And it was a really fun day out. You wouldn't believe it, but after this event, so after this photo, shortly after, we ended up with torrential rainstorms. And by the time we reached the top, it was thick with fog. It was raining more than I've ever seen rain in my life, and there was snow everywhere. So it was definitely an interesting opportunity, but it was really fun. I think because we all knew what we were there for, we all had the passion to want to finish it. And I think when we got to the top, we were just like, yes, we've finally done it. And you just feel so proud of what you've achieved. And at the same time, it's such a fun way to connect each other for a worthwhile cause and something you're passionate about. So if you want to think how to do advocacy in a fun and engaging way, I highly suggest fundraising as one of those activities. You can also do bake sales. Each year we take bake sales quite competitively. So our all project coordinator, Katie, her mum made the best little hedgehog cakes and they look so good. Sometimes you felt guilty about eating them. So it really is a fun way to engage people. So social media, as a lot of you are probably aware, the younger generation, social media is something we are very keen on and something which is a really easy asset you can utilize to actually promote the work that you're doing. So whether it be something small, say for example, as you're going out and doing a litter pick, or something big. So say for example, you're putting a new legislative piece together with your local MP. The whole point of leveraging social media is to advocate for wildlife when you're thinking of conservation advocacy. So you can share educational posts, create engaging videos, you can start conversations using relevant hashtags. And from this, you can build up your engagement. You can build up how many people are actually connecting with the work that you're doing. And it's a really great way to show people what it is you're trying to achieve, but you're also putting out there the authentic work of what your organization or groups or individual work is trying to achieve. And it's really fun. And I think it's important when raising awareness and also mobilizing support to actually use social media because it has such an impact on how many people you can reach. And say, for example, if you went to a conference and you're talking to 100 people, those 100 people are already there for the same reason you are, probably for conservation or education. Whereas when using social media, you can reach demographics you might not have considered before. And it's amazing how that connection with wildlife and with wildlife advocacy as a whole can really build upon that. And so thought we'd do this one for celebrating success. As highlighted throughout, when talking about wildlife advocacy, it's all about the successes. When it comes to your volunteers, to make them feel recognised and to make them understand the value of what they're doing is having an impact, is celebrating each individual success, whether it be something small. So for us, it was on the far right, the first time we'd caught 2 hedgehogs on camera together. It was really exciting because we knew we had multiple hedgehogs, but until this image, we hadn't had it fully confirmed. So it was amazing for us to have this and to share this with our volunteers to show them, actually, this is what your work has actually achieved. And this is 2 hedgehogs that were in a feeding station together. And it was really fun because we've got a little video of them actually standing guard in front of the feeding station and actually blocking it from one of the young fox cubs who was trying to get in. So both of them just curled up into a little ball and started headbutting the fox in the nose. So I think the fox soon realised he couldn't get into that feeding station and he just went to one of our others that wasn't used as much. So it's interesting for us to see that connection and to celebrate that with our students. On the far left of the screen, I was really fortunate this year to have received the Mammal Champions Award from the Mammal Society. And for me, I saw this not just as an award for myself, but an award for the efforts of all the volunteers who are a part of our project. Because without them, I wouldn't be able to do the work I've been able to do. And I wouldn't be able to be here today talking about wildlife advocacy. So it really was an important milestone to share with them and to promote all the amazing work that they're doing. And then in the centre in October, I was really lucky. I received the People of Nature Awards for Conservationist of the Year Fauna from which was my first international award for conservation. So for me, this was incredibly exciting, not just to promote obviously the hedgehogs, but to think that hedgehogs are now on an international scale being recognized. So this was really exciting to see that all the way over in India, hedgehogs are at the forefront. So it was really nice to see that they'd realized the work and the effort that all of our volunteers and the staff and local community had put in together to achieve what we had this year was being recognised, and it was a truly incredible opportunity. So just remember, when it comes to wildlife advocacy, celebrate your successes, even though you think it might be small. It's an amazing success. If you've gone out and picked up just one bag of rubbish that day, it is still an achievement. It's still one bag less rubbish that's going to be out there for wildlife to be affected by. So, for the key takeaways today, what I want to get across is just remember that when it comes to it, your voice matters. By following all these fun and engaging strategies, you can make your wildlife advocacy truly shine. Together, let's create a brighter future for our planet's incredible wildlife, and we can join together in the cause of protecting the nature we have in the UK. And on the left is just a really nice photo of one of our litter picks last year where we went across the canal, which was a really fun opportunity for us. So thank you so much for listening. If anyone, for example, does want to get in touch to talk more or have any suggestions at all, please feel free to use the email here and contact me. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to help.
Thank you so much, Lyndon. That was a really great presentation. I think we all got some really nice ideas. I learned some stuff as well, so that was great. I think we've had a couple
Thank
of
you.
questions in the chat as well, so I guess we can stop the recording now. And if everyone wants to stick around for any questions, we can do that as well.
Amazing.
I'll just stop sharing. Stop recording.